Welcome Leo to your in-depth monthly forecast for December 2024 for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. If you order your year 2025 personal horoscope forecast, you also get your life roadmap report 30% off, but also my free gift of your zodiac general, love, Chinese and Indian forecast for the coming year. Please see the link below for more. The personal forecast is totally unique to each person it's produced for and will give you searing insights for the next year. You'll get the rest of 24 free. On the screen now, I'm sharing the event chart right at the start of the month, and you can see Mars, the planet of passion, is in your sign. Now, he will be going retrograde on the 6th, but he will stay in Leo for the whole of the month through to the 6th of January before inverting back into the sign of Cancer. But he forges right at the start of this month a glittering alliance with the North Node in Aries, but also the Moon in Sagittarius. So that grand fire trine is great news for you, particularly as later on the 1st of the month, the moon inches forwards and applies to the sun. That new moon is the 5th house, which is the jolliest, warmest, friendliest, most social and most dazzling new moon you can have each year. Now, it is moderated somewhat by Saturn by 3 degrees in a square, so it's just saying to you that if you are in the mood to be very upbeat and bubbly, you just need to be mindful of the financial side of it. But that collection between Mars, the node and the position of the moon gives you a lot of investment as you come into this month in terms of your personal energies, your vitality, your enthusiasm, your charisma can really be to the fore as this month begins. Now, Venus and Uranus are also in a super trine. But Venus for you is in a very practical area, the 6th house. Venus can be about money, and the 6th house can be about resources, particularly in Capricorn. But Uranus is in your 10th house, which is how you link to the wider world. Now, Uranus can be an unpredictable energy, and perhaps your professional situation has been changing since March 2019. But if you have got an idea that your enthusiasm and passion can be supported by trying something a little different around your work, particularly if it is creative in any way, then you could take a big step forwards right from the start of this month. So a lot to like. Also, Mercury merges with the Sun on the 6th at Cazimi. If there is something that you want to do, perhaps meet up with some friends, perhaps it is a pre-Christmas get-together, you could be in very bubbly form. But of course, Mercury is retrograde through to the 15th, so there is the potential for some last minute changes of plan. If you're single, there could be a number of different people that are gravitating towards you, but it might not be completely clear who's going to become more rooted in your life. But then on the 6th too, Mars goes into a retrograde. Mars is with you in this initial, or in his initial journey through the sign of Leo of 9 weeks. He's going to come back into Leo once he leaves on the 6th of January on the 18th of April through to the 17th of June. So that's a big window of opportunity for you to demonstrate your drive and passion. And Mars does broadly oppose Pluto for the whole of this month. Pluto's in your sector of relating full time now, so this Mars retrograde suggests that maybe some things that mean a lot to you, that you've got a lot of attachment to in terms of your unique individuality, might at times not seem to be celebrated by others as much as you would like. There is the possibility of a battle of wills, particularly in a relationship, I feel, but that doesn't mean to say that it can't still see you grow. It's just that because both Mars and Pluto are in fixed signs, the potential for someone taking a might is right attitude is strong, and therefore if there is something that does come up, you really need to ask yourself the question, is it worth really investing that much energy in? So you need to weigh up any dispute quickly, because otherwise you could find that several things could be quite aggravating. What can help you, however, is that on the 7th, Neptune, which has been causing some confusion since early July, goes direct, but Venus makes her way into your opposite sign, applies to Pluto, and that will help you to feel really connected to someone. So even if there was a few a few moments of attraction that didn't then go on, if you are starting this month single with that Mercury retrograde, if you do orientate towards someone you really like, Venus and Pluto together could lock you in that connection. But it will always be a tie that will have a degree of drama around it, I feel, but it certainly has the potential for deep connection. If you're in a relationship which is ongoing, and maybe there have been some things that have got in the way a little bit, perhaps your social life, their social life, Venus moving into Aquarius gives you the chance to try and celebrate the things you have in common between you. Try to harmonise things. There's no better place for Venus to be than the 7th house, but applying to Pluto does make the stakes that much higher. So if things have been a bit touch and go, that conjunction could help you to make a binding decision for good or bad. But then on the 15th there is a full moon, and it's a full moon in the sign of Gemini. Gemini energy can be quite flirty, changeable. Certainly for you it's a very sociable one, but it is of course opposite the position of the Sun in Sagittarius, which is more about what you want. The position of the moon is more about what other people may want from you. Mercury actually goes direct on that day. That can definitely help, but Neptune does apply, despite coming out of its retrograde, in a square to, or a T-square to both the moon and the Sun. So finance could be an issue that does cause some discontent, particularly if one of you's got a different approach to the budget for Christmas and the other person doesn't really feel heard. With Neptune, very, very important to be as realistic as possible. We'd all like to be, super generous to those we care for. It just depends on what you can truly afford. Now, the 21st sees the winter solstice. Really important event in Western tropical astrology, ushers in the last of the 4 quadrants of the year, because Western tropical astrology is divided by 4 lots of 13. This one for you is about practicalities, but it does T-square up to the nodal axis. Yes, practicalities may call out to you. Perhaps you're going to be the one who's looking after people over Christmas, and that sense of responsibility is something that Pluto has definitely been imbuing in you for many years. But this year there could be a little bit of a sense of rebellion with the nodal axis there, which is much more about your desire for freedom, especially with Mars's retrograde meeting the advancing Pluto, which becomes much more intense over the last few days of this month. But the 24th, Christmas Eve, it's a big day for astrology in general, because Saturn and Jupiter meet in a square. This last occurred on the 19th of August. It's going to happen next year on the 15th of June, but by then Saturn will have moved temporarily into Aries, and Jupiter will make its once in 12-year visits to Cancer. But this one, let's think about it. Saturn in the 8th house. It is about shared resources, money, and the position of Jupiter is in the very friendly, sociable 11th house, but starts this month in an opposition with Mercury, both in retrograde, both in detrimental positions. So very jolly, but Saturn's saying, what about the money? So that could be something you may need to consider. And then on the 29th, Chiron goes direct. If you have had a sense that your knowledge base or your ability to learn things or your professional qualifications are not quite up to scratch, that may have been emphasised by Chiron's retrograde. Don't underestimate how you help people through your life experience. Even if you are someone who's very academically qualified, it may have still felt that you do a lot of advising, but people don't necessarily celebrate what you give them, but you can celebrate what you give them, and also do believe in what you have to offer, which brings us to the black moon, which brings the celestial curtain down on this month, the new moon in Capricorn on the 30th. Now this emphasises that practicality that Pluto was drilling you around since 2008. So as you work into the new year, it could make you mindful of the potential to do something quite virtuous, set your intentions around a New Year's resolution, all that kind of stuff. It may be something that you have already planned, but it may be something that's not to do with a personal change like that. Maybe you are thinking about changing your working situation, and that could be a big aspiration for you as you burst into the new year. Speaking of which, Leo, have you watched your deep dive for year 2025 yet? Please see the link beneath this video for more on that, because that is going to help you to understand what the challenges but what the opportunities are for this new year. Wishing you a very happy Christmas. Take care and goodbye.